Hey, all right, so we're going to shift from Phoenix talk to Tucson talk because being a longtime guy here in the Valley, lived here for more than 40 years, I love Old Tucson. And I love the fact that there's a guy out there leading the charge to save Old Tucson, and he's going to join us. Right now, it's Rob Loebl. Hello, Rob.
Hello, all. Hello, hello.
All right. Tell us why you're so concerned, first of all. I'm going to share some video for people who have never been to Old Tucson. So, why you're so concerned and what the current status is of this longtime beloved old movie studio.
All right. Well, the what really lit a fire for me is having been a performer myself out there for the past several years. When I heard that the current owner was not going to renew the lease with the county, the first thing that hit me was that 100 of my close
Oh, we just got a
personal
freeze.
friends
Oh,
were
go
going to
ahead.
lose
Yeah.
their jobs, and that
Yes.
didn't sit very well with me.
Okay,
So
so
I created Wild West Enterprise LLC, and we decided to do everything that we could to bring it back.
well, let me show our viewers. Our drone guys were out there not too long ago flying overhead. Give us a little bit of the history and why this place is so special.
Well, this was built in 1939 by Hollywood for the movie Arizona. They were only going to use it one time, and it was literally left to melt in the desert until 1959, when a Mr. Bob Shelton, like Knott's Berry Farms, the movies just came in as a bonus. Bob was a friend with John Wayne, and through the course of the years, over 450 productions have been shot out there, and every old celebrity that you can think of has walked those grounds. Now,
Wow.
there was a fire in 1995, and since then it has been on a steady decline. And now, with the status of everything, we our plan is to rebuild the 70s and 80s as far as the town goes, but we can rebuild a new version of Old Tucson that is still true to the Wild West. And the bigger we build it, the more movies we can get back into it. One of my main goals is turning it back into a film studio and education purposes during the day to provide for everyone. But the number one thing, first thing we would do is lower the prices for all locals, and that includes Phoenix. Um, it'll be $25 to get into the park for an adult. It'll be $20 for seniors, veteran, 6 and over. Under 6 is free. So come and enjoy your day at Old Tucson.
Yeah, do you feel like that was a big problem? Is ticket prices kind of is why it
From what
saw
we
a good
from all
decline?
what that we've read, that was one of the biggest. We
Mm.
did a video a couple of weeks ago, and it's almost currently at 500,000 views, and we read every single response, and that was one of the biggest, was bring down the prices. So
Wow.
Well,
we've been listening.
what
Hmm.
was it like for people who came there, maybe even brought their kids? I mean, it was totally a family featured kind of attraction, I think. Tell us what it was like then and what you hope it will become if your efforts are successful.
All right. Well, a lot of the things are going to match what they did and what we're doing. First is going to be bringing back the pony rides. We're going to be bringing back the rodeos, the concerts. Um, our ultimate 5-year plan is to be rebuilding a new sound studio, which is going to be huge for Arizona. Um, and the list goes on. As far as I want to get a hot air balloon. Now, everything, and even building the park back, is all contingent on working with the county. And we've got a great relation, proper stewards for them to select.
It's so great. Well, okay, so how much do you need to raise and how can people find out more about you guys?
Our goal is $3 million. That's what we're trying to raise. And we have taken, you can read everything about our plan on our site. That's hollywoodofthedesert.com. And you can also find us on Save Old Tucson page on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay.
By the way, before we let you go, I'm going to just speak about my favorite Old Tucson movie.
Yeah.
You guys ready? Okay, I'm going to pop it up on the screen here, Rob. Ready? You can.
All right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The three.
Now, as
Look
you
at
may
that.
know, this is the 40th year anniversary for the Three Amigos. And one of the things I would love to do if I can acquire the park before the end of the year is have those gentlemen back out for a meet and greet. I think that would be fantastic, and we should celebrate them for the celebrities that they are.
Oh, that would be quite fun.
Oh my gosh,
Those are some
Yeah.
great memories with that movie. Wow.
All right, Rob,
Absolutely.
thanks so much. Once again, what's a website people can go to?
That is hollywoodofthedesert.com, or you can find us on Save Old Tucson site. That's just Save Old Tucson on Facebook.
Wishing
All
you the
right.
best of luck.
Yeah, hopefully we help get you to that $3 million goal. Rob, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to talking to you folks again in the future.
You got
Absolutely,
it.
yeah. Oh, we love Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hello, how's it
How
going?
are you?
Good
buddy.
morning.
Good to
So
see you.
one of the things we're talking about today is a local group and their efforts to save Old Tucson. We talked to someone in the 10 who's, you know, passionate about trying to save what it is and give it new life. And you guys were out there with the drone a couple years ago.
We were out there a couple of years ago. Now, I'm Arizona born and raised, so I went there as a little kid too. But my counterpart, BK, first time there, and he was blown away because some of our favorite movies have been shot there. I mean, it's if you like westerns, like Tombstone was shot there. It's like, and one of our favorites, Three Amigos. And
Yes.
Yes, Ron's too.
We were talking about that
Three
last
Amigos?
hour.
If you have BK on the show next, he can do the salute where they're like noon, and they cough or something like that. He was doing it all the whole time on the shoot, and he's got it down, and it's great.
Oh, that's so great.
But I think Tombstone was the last big production before the huge fire that destroyed like nearly 50%
Right.
of the old studio.
And yet they came back from that.
And they came back from the fire.
Yeah.
And a
Let's-
little house on the prairie was shot there.
Wow. Let's talk about it here. So you guys, when you go down there and you set up, you have a staging area, and you're like, I think based on where the sun is, or we're going to shoot it from this angle. To kind of walk through that part.
Right, when we go there, well, we saw a plan at first because we wanted to know what we wanted to shoot because it's in here, that big church from Tombstone is in here, and that's primarily where like, we know people would recognize that when we show it, so we wanted to focus on that, and that to be in front of that, and you're like, oh, Tombstone, Val Kilmer was here, it's just really, really cool, and it's in our backyard, which is even better. You can go down there and be part of the old set.
Yeah.
I mean, Clint Eastwood's been there, Ronald Reagan, John Wayne. It's like
Right.
all the classics have shot at Old Tucson, and it's in a beautiful area, and it takes you back in time. And if you're a movie buff, you'll absolutely love it.
So what stories were people telling you when you guys were down there to drone this? Because obviously they saw a decline, a sharp decline in,
Right.
in visitors because of the pandemic, and that was 6 years ago now. You
Right.
guys were just there a couple years ago. So what were those stories like then?
Well, they're talking about just how back in the day when John Wayne was walking on the streets and all the stuff they did to make him look bigger, like they make the doors smaller. So when he comes out of the huge doors, he looks like he's a giant. So it's like
Oh,
you
that's
learn like movie
cool.
tricks and stuff like this when you're down there, and it's just something you don't get to see every day.
Right.
And plus, it's once again, it's right here. We can go to it, and it's just amazing time to spend. And they do stuff at night now for Halloween, so they're trying to get more people. But I really do hope they save it because it really is a treasure in our own backyard.
John Wayne loved Arizona. I mean, he had a ranch here out kind of in the direction, I think, of south of Florence.
Right.
Out there. So he loved time in the desert.
And he still has a table at Stockyards Restaurant where John Wayne table, he used to come in and have his steak, and it's still there to this day at Stockyards Restaurant.
I got to go check that out
Oh,
for
very
sure.
cool.
What
was
do you
your favorite part the church that you were
The
mentioning, or
church,
did you?
yeah, because that's so for us, and
Just
it's so
iconic.
iconic, and especially if you love Tombstone, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's a great western, and it's just so because I immediately was stepped into the movie when I saw that church. I'm like, that is just so awesome to be in front of it. And then once again, Three Amigos was we're like really we really love Three Amigos. So, but it's just, I mean, Gunfight to OK Corral was shot there, and it's just like all these really, really cool old western movies that you can still walk and be a part of it today.
It should almost be like a protected historic status anyway. When the more you tell these stories, the more I'm thinking it is like an indispensable part of our state's history.
100%, and it's like I really do hope they somehow try to keep it somehow because it's just so interesting. And they have the wedding chapel that's been in tons of movies there, and you just get to step back in time. And once again, it's 2 hours away from us.
Yeah. So what do you remember as a kid going there? Because I love that part of the story.
I remember going as a kid because it's like I'm going back in time, and it's just like I want to be John Wayne, and it's just like I want to ride a horse down, you know, and hook it up and go in the tavern and all this stuff, and, you know, have a gunfight, you know.
Yeah, with somebody.
Right. And it's like, you know, fall off the roof, you know, all this crazy stuff you saw as a kid. And that's the church where they do a bunch of weddings, been a bunch of movies.
Wow.
But it's just an amazing, and to see it up close and personal, it's a whole different thing because you become part of the movies.
Now,
It took you back, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, it took you
100%.
back to childhood. That's pretty special.
can people if they want to watch this whole episode right now, or once we're done here in 3 minutes? What do they do?
It's on our YouTube page.
Okay.
If you or you can just Google Foxton Phoenix Old Tucson Movie Studios, and
Okay.
it should come up on a Google search.
Yeah.
And you can watch this. And we did special projects on it too. We talked to the historians back there, and it's just they have. I mean, we could have made this like a 10-minute story because all just the history
Right.
and all the stuff that's happened there, and who took it over, and how it became a entertainment place and a movie studio.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it was up till like '93. They're still shooting major blockbusters there.
I was going to say, have there been any talks or any buzz about movies, you know, trying to go back?
I
and-
sure hope so because
Yeah.
it's a great place to shoot. I mean, like, a lot of episodes of Little House on the Prairie. I mean, the backdrop is the beautiful Tucson mountains. I mean, it's just once you get there, you can see why this was made into a Tucson movie studio because just the backdrops and everything around it.
So around it, there have never been any homes built, et cetera. I know the Saguaro National Monument is nearby.
Correct.
But is it kind of on the edge of forest land? What is
It's
protected
just right on the edge,
it?
which is really interesting because it's sort of by itself in the middle of the Tucson desert. There's some homes around it, but not for a while. So when you go there, it's just pretty much Old Tucson studio
Yeah.
right in the middle of the desert, and it's all by itself.
It's just
Right.
that.
And the beautiful Tucson mountains. That's why they shot there too, because the mountains behind them. You know, John Wayne riding on a horse. You've got the beautiful mountains and the church. I mean, it's an epic place to shoot a movie, and I still hope movies get shot there.
And you wouldn't know from when you're watching the movies and the scenes. All you have to do is get on the other side of the hill. You got the Metro Tucson area with almost 1 million people.
Right.
Just on the other side of the hill.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing too, they still have the old movie sets where they're just a facade. So it's just like the front of a saloon, but behind it, there's nothing
There's
behind
nothing,
it. You
it's
walk
just the
through the
front.
door, there's
Wow.
nothing behind it. So they still have the facade set up.
Yeah.
You can go interact, and the huge bar. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like you said, hopefully then they make some headway in trying to
I sure
save
hope they
this. The
save it.
goal is pretty hefty.
Right.
The group is trying to raise $3 million, but
Right.
hopefully, hopefully they do.
Yeah, we'll stay on top of it, that's for sure. All right, don't be a stranger, Joe.
Thank you
Come on
very
over
much.
and bring your sidekick.
But if BK's back on the show, have him do the shout out from Three Amigos. You'll love it. He's so good at doing that. It's
We gotta
amazing.
where was he today? We got to get him on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Seriously.
Thanks, buddy.